there's nothing I like more when I'm climbing the face of a cliff. I feel like Tom Cruise. Than playing my Game Boy Advance, and I'm talking about Super Ghouls'n Ghosts. The thing about this game is that it is near impossible to play. It was hard back then, it's hard now. Now they put a new mode in, right? It's called Arranged Mode. And once you finish the first level, you can go through and pick any of the levels in the entire game. Now the deal with that is that the game is so impossible that they figured the only way that anyone's ever going to see the other levels of the game is if they put in an arranged mode. Now the graphics in this game are, oh, we're going faster, faster. Okay, the graphics in this game are really good. The sound sounds exactly like the Super Nintendo stuff. You'll never see the princess. Let's face it, the game's impossible. You will be playing this game for the rest of your life. So thank God they gave you a save game on this game, or else you'd never, ever, ever get past level 1. And if anyone out there has ever beaten any of the Ghouls and Ghosts game, feel free to email me because I want to know what happens at the end. It's a challenging game. It's an awesome game. It's just like the Super Nintendo version. Super Ghouls'n Ghosts. An awesome take on a classic. You got it all, plus arranged mode, so you can actually see some other levels in the game. I'm giving this game an 8.5 out of 10.
All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about an update to a classic 80s arcade game. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. It's Defender. Come on down, buddy. Stop looking at the polka dots. You okay? You all right?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what happens when you look at those things.
What are we doing?
Talking about Defender.
Last year, Midway brought us Spy Hunter. Brought us back Spy Hunter.
That's right.
Spy Hunter, loved it in the arcade. Loved last year's version.
Yes.
Oops. Too bad they couldn't bring back that old pizzazz with Defender this time.
Well, you know, Defender's kind of a tricky one because Defender was such a, very, very popular game in the arcades in the 80s.
And the thing with the original Defender, though, that this one's lacking is that the original Defender kind of always had this thing where you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and they're collecting all your guys, and and then the world blows up and everything's coming after you.
Now this game does have that sense of mania. There's a lot of stuff happening at the same time, but somehow moving this game into 3D, you kind of lose the connection to that experience. It just feels like it's out of control.
And you know, it really has nothing to do with Defender, really.
That's the bottom line.
Pretty much. Well, let's start out with the graphics. I mean, the graphics, especially for the Xbox and GameCube versions, are, well, poor at best.
And mediocre. You expect if they're going to take a license like this and update it, that they're going to put their heart and soul into rebuilding the franchise and really making a beautiful piece of art. Spy Hunter definitely delivered in that front. And this game does not. It's got very bland spaceships. The aliens look very bland. There's tons of them, lots of stuff to kill, but nothing really blows you away.
The world as well, you know, it's the art direction is completely lacking in this game.
Right.
You know, the environments look totally different from the buildings. The buildings just look pasted on.
What are you telling me? You didn't like the size of the big humans as you're flying over them, and then when they clip onto your ship, they're like
switch.
They're like 2 pixels tall or something?
Yeah, you know, there's just no continuity whatsoever. And then you have the cinematics, which are again completely different from what we're seeing in the rest of the game.
And too many of them. It looks like they spent more time and effort and money on those movies than they did on the gameplay. The control is pretty good. It's simple to get into. There's lots and lots of stuff to kill.
The fire sound on the ship is actually the original fire sound from Defender, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
But the most annoying part about this entire game was the fact that the sound effects and music got dropped way low whenever the voiceovers came in. They didn't mix it properly.
And the voices pop up every 2 minutes, man. It's
2 minutes? 2 seconds?
I know.
Almost completed. 3 colonists remaining.
There wasn't enough attention paid to the presentation of the gameplay.
Remember what they did this year with Contra Shattered Soldier?
Yeah, that was great.
You know, where it's basically the same game, except they really updated the graphics and they had 3D elements? Wouldn't it have been great
That would have been cool.
if they did that with Defender? Keep it a side-scrolling thing, but bring it all into kind of 3D things. It would have been awesome.
Something like that. I mean, there's some cool ideas in here, but it just seems like it was half measures. 5 out of 10.
I give it a 5.5. On the positive side, the game kind of has a little choplifter type feel to it, where you have to go rescue the people and bring them back to the base. And the ships themselves were actually very easy to control and easy to move around.
On the negative side, we were very disappointed by the voiceovers and their overall sound mix in the game. We thought the graphics and the artwork overall was just very, very bland and mediocre. But the biggest problem of all, if you love the original Defender, you're going to be disappointed with this one. All right, we've already talked about the Spider-Man controller for the PlayStation 2, but today we're going to be talking about the Spider Pad for the Xbox.
Spider Pad.
It's got that funky, it's a different shape than the regular Xbox controller. It's got these long handles.
There's two of them. There's the classic red and blues.
Right.
And then there's the black Venom symbiote kind of deal as well. Now, here's the thing. You know, I love this controller for the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, it was good.
Recommended it.
Too, yep.
The GameCube version, also very good. I'd recommend that.
Yep.
But, you know, I can't recommend the Xbox version because of a couple of things here.
Fundamental problems with this
Fundamental problems
Yes.
is that the buttons are those jelly bean style buttons.
Yeah.
What is it with some of these controllers where they put the buttons all on top of each other? First of all, they're not circular like the Controller S.
Right.
They're not set up in the cross shape like the Controller S.
You can hit all the buttons with one thumb press. Now, the biggest problem that I had with this controller is that the voice commander thing that you use for Xbox Live, it doesn't work with the Spider Pad.
What?
It doesn't work in the controller.
Spider sense, tingling!
So you spend your good money for your Spider controller, you got a great paint job, but you got buttons that are too close together. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm climbing the wall.
All right. You got buttons that are too close together, and the communicator doesn't work, so you're ripped off. Don't recommend it.
I love the PlayStation 2 version. I love the GameCube versions of this controller, but I can't recommend the Xbox version.
On the positive side, we like the look of this controller, and the fact that there's 2 variants is also very nice.
On the negative side, it has these long grips, which you're just not used to with the Xbox. The buttons aren't laid out properly, they're not circular, and they're way too close together. And finally, you can't use the Xbox Live communicator with this controller. Big, big problem.
All right, when we come back, we're going to be talking about what is Nintendo's biggest game of the season, Metroid Prime. Stick around.